Patrick Bet David had a conversation on a panel where he broke down how there's a lot of fake millionaires out here in these streets. Patrick Bet David had a video that he's recently dropped where he had a panel and he was having a conversation and he broke down how there's a lot of fake millionaires out here. Okay. And one of the reasons, or the way in which he broke it down, it doesn't mean that they're capping. It doesn't mean that they're faking the amount of money that they have. What he's saying is that before we get into it, I'm going to play the video and then we're going to deep dive into why it is that he said what he said. Make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be reading super chat shortly. I do see y'all, but I definitely want to make sure that I add as much value by adding all of this content in the videos. Thank you to everybody that contributed to the platform. I'm definitely going to be reading super chat shortly. Let's get into the video, ladies and gentlemen.
Housing market downturn wipes $2.3 trillion in value as experts predict prices could still tumble another 10%. The total value of U.S. homes has fallen a record high $47 trillion. A record high of $47 trillion in June, collective value to now $45.3 trillion, representing the largest June to December drop since the subprime mortgage crisis in '08. Though home prices are up 1.5% over the past year, the median price has fallen about 11.5% from a peak of $433 in May, $383 in January, as higher mortgage rates drive up borrowing costs and sideline potential home buyers. Last week, U.S. home purchase applications fell to a 28-year low. That's a big number, Tom. 28-year low to U.S. home applications.
Huge.
28 is what? That's 1995. That's a long time ago, 28-year low. Hardest hit areas include regions adversely affected by waves of technology layoffs and skyrocketing prices during the pandemic include San Francisco, Oakland, New York. San Fran is down 7%. Oakland is down 4.5%. New York is down 1 point. Pantheon Macro ultimately projects home prices will fall about 20% from their peak by the end of the year, suggesting the median price could tumble another 10% to $346. Go ahead, Adam.
Part of the reason why the market is tumbling the way that it is because there's multiple different factors that's going into it. A, they're continuing to raise rates, which I don't think that there's an Armageddon that's happening in the real estate industry because we're going to get to the fake millionaire part. I think that it's a difference between a crash and a market correction, okay? There's a difference between a crash and a market correction. A crash is what it is that you experienced in 2008, all right? That's when everything just went to shit, and that's not what we're experiencing right now. I think that we will experience a crash again in our lifetime, in my lifetime, because everything is cyclical, and that's why I continue to tell y'all to prepare yourselves and why I ask y'all to tap into the Patreon, because we have conversations that allow for us to not only prevent ourselves from being affected by it, but also to capitalize off of it. But a market correction is something that we're experiencing now. I told y'all that I didn't buy any real estate during the pandemic.
Well, I kind of want to throw this back.
Because there were a lot of people that were overpricing and overpaying for what it was that they were doing in the real estate industry. And so patience is your friend. You don't time the market, but you don't participate in something that's overpriced. So for example, during the pandemic, people were paying $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 over asking price without even getting an inspection on properties just because rates were low and people were all buying and rushing and had a fear of missing out. FOMO. Lumber prices went from $430 to $1,600, $1,700 for lumber. So that means that if you were paying for building a house at that time, it's a strong possibility that you overpaid $50,000, $75,000, $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 more just in the price to be able to build it based off of lumber and a labor shortage because everything was overpriced. And so when you think about a market correction versus a crash, this is not a crash. Crashes don't look like this. Crashes, I was alive and I was a grown man during a crash. It was different. A market correction is what you're experiencing right now, but also at the same time, you also got to take into consideration how people are being affected from a financial perspective, as far as there being a pullback in the amount of pricing for all things that were overinflated as far as the overvaluing of things that we thought were assets. Let's continue.
to you
Yeah.
because you've taken a lot of heat for kind of calling this. People would come up to me or you and say, does Pat want real estate prices to go down? And I think that, raise your hand if you've heard Pat talk about this on the podcast. So
raise your hand and you're in real estate and you still shut up. That's the real question.
Yeah. So every realtor is going to say, no, the market's fine. It's all good. Great time to buy. It's like, really?
And it is a great time to buy. It's a great time to buy at the right price for the right property if you have the resources to be able to do so and you're not overpaying or getting it at the wrong rates or getting it at the wrong amount of time that you're financing it for, because then you're giving over a majority of your monies over into the mortgage company just to be able to say that you have a property. You're paying the interest on a property in order to be able to justify perceived ownership.
You just bought a house a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Top of the market, some would say.
Yep.
So what's been your strategy? And you're not anti-real estate. You want the market to go up. You don't want it to go down, but you're also a realist. So what's been sort of your outlook strategy of why you did a whole generational wealth, real estate. You've done a couple webinars on that. What's been your mindset?
Read the super chat shortly.
15 years is the last time we had a market crash. That's a long time.
That's true.
15 years.
Oh, wait.
We haven't had one for a long time. We're overdue. We've never had a season where more fake money has been pumped into the system like today.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of the reasons why you have inflation. The more money that they print and you say that you're making more money, the reality is that you're not. You're actually paying more for the goods and services. And then you justifying it because whatever it is that they're giving you as a raise or however much more money that you're making is not even keeping up with the rate of inflation. Remember, inflation was at almost 10% just a little while ago.
We have a lot of fake equity. We have a lot of fake success. We have a lot of fake millionaires. And too often fake success or fake millionaires is just like somebody winning the lotto. You don't have the identity of it, so you're overspending, you're over leveraged, you have so many different things that you're paying on, you're concerned, you're afraid when a buyer comes in. Like the other day, we were looking at this property, 6500 Federal. It's down the street a block away. We went and looked at it. They bought this property in 08 for $13.5 million, commercial real estate.
They bought the property in 08 for $13.5 million.
So we go look at the property, beautiful place, 54,000 square feet. You and I went in there. Rob, you and I kind of very much so went in there and looked at every single floor. And we come in with a suit. The lady's like, can I help you with anything? I said, yeah, we're working with management. We're just checking on this property to see everything good. Yes, everything good. Fantastic. Thank you so much. We're just looking around, you know. The buyer is asking for $8.5 million.
In 08, at the bottom of the market, they bought it for 13. The buyer is asking for 8.5. Think about that. In a market crash, commercial property, they paid 13. So at the bottom of the market in 08, they paid 13. They asking for 8 in 2023. We ain't even taking into consideration the rate of inflation. We're not taking into consideration market value or anything like that. Let's continue.
Bought it at 13.5 in 2008. Okay. This doesn't mean it's happening everyone. By the way, 2008 is not a peak. 06 was peak.
Right.
2008 market tanked 38%.
Right.
Correct.
So again, the people who have cash and made the right choices and they're ready for this, they're going to skyrocket and kill it and make the kind of money they've never made before. The people that had a lot of fake success in the last few years and they kept spending money, they're going to get exposed and they're going to get destroyed.
And this is what we mean by fake millionaires. It doesn't mean that you don't have millionaire status. What it means is your inability to be able to master what it takes in order to sustain millionaire status and then capitalize off of what the market is doing today is going to be exposed. Because you couldn't miss. You couldn't miss. It didn't matter what you did for a living, or what you invested in. You could not miss over the last 2 to 3 years. What you'll start to see today is there's going to be a reckoning, and there's going to be a division between the haves and the have-nots. And those that are going to continue to try to put on for appearances are going to be the ones that lose because they truly do not understand how money works. Those that make the adjustment in order to ensure that they capitalize off of everybody else losing are going to be the ones that get mega rich and mega successful. When I tell you that there's going to be a division and the middle class is going away, and that the overwhelming majority of people is going to be on one side or the other, is either going to be gnashing of teeth and gnawing, and then it's going to be mega successful people in riches, I cannot be any more transparent and direct about what's going to happen over the next few years. It is an opportunity for either you're going to be super successful or you're going to fall by the wayside. And just because you were technically a millionaire on paper today does not mean that you're going to be successful and millionaire on paper tomorrow. Because anybody could capitalize off of, but then fall to the wayside as a result of the next day when you are great at what you do, but you don't understand how to master money. We just did a show, what was that, yesterday, the day before yesterday, where the guy came from prison, making $150,000 a year. He got a $2,000 car note, and he's up to his eyeballs, and he's contributing $77 a month to his retirement and to his investments. It's a difference between making a lot of money and generating a lot of wealth. And most people truly don't understand what the heck is about to happen and what is coming. I decided not to even renew my Pistons tickets yesterday. I did the whole show. I decided not to renew my Pistons tickets yesterday. The minute that I opted out, I got a phone call. I mean, literally, it had to be a minute and a half after I opted out. I got a phone call from my rep. I ain't even answered the phone yet. I ain't even talked to her yet. I might call her right now. Because they continuing to raise prices, and the differences between how it is that you're leveraging and making the right decision on how it is that you can leverage your resources in order to continue to buy assets. Because see, now, let me tell you why. Now is not the time to ball. And it's not the time to ball, not because you don't have the money to be able to ball, because I got more money than I've ever had in my entire life, and I have no debt. I have zero debt and more money than ever. But the reason why it's not time to ball is because the separation between the millionaires and 100 millionaires and the billionaires is going to be the people that make the right decisions now. When everybody else is trying to keep up with the Joneses and everybody else can't make the right decision because they're so busy trying to put on for everybody else, now is the time to make the investments, to go all in on the things that actually makes the most sense and buy up when everybody else is running. When everybody else is running, you buy up. When everybody else is buying up, you chill. Now is going to be the time to really, really capitalize off of what's about to happen in the market. And so I got rid of the last little bit of debt that I have on the final property, the $163,000 that I showed y'all in receipts that I paid, right, in order to pay off my final rental property. And we just hoarding cash and buying up every fucking thing at the rates that we want to buy it up at. We building houses. I literally just went and got the paperwork to be able to file my permits to go and build the houses on the properties that I showed you inside of the page. Some of the properties that I showed you inside of the Patreon that I purchased, the land that I purchased, because lumber prices is low. Interest rates are high. And so because I'm cash rich, now I have the ability to really be able to go all in when everybody else overpaid for a lot of this shit. Women are literally divorcing from their husbands right now and saying, I don't even give a fuck about this property. I want it in a divorce. I want it in a settlement. I got 5 pieces of property. If you got the money, I'll give it to you at a discount. Now is not the time to have a good time. Now is the time to have a good time as though you broke. Act like you broke. Spend like you rich on assets, not experiences, that then will allow for you to be able to live the rest of your life like you want to. Patience. It's a lot of people that's pretending like they really got it. Very few people are going to have it. Put away the watch. Go and get an Apple Watch. You know what one of the benefits was in 08? Let me tell you what one of the benefits was in 08. One of the benefits in 2008 and the blessing of 2008 was everybody was broke. Everybody was broke. And because everybody was broke, nobody cared about trying to impress the other person. They was just more focused on the idea that we just got to survive. If the neighbor down the street lost his house, you just understood. It wasn't no teasing. It wasn't no talking about people. It wasn't no bullying. It wasn't none of that. You just knew, listen, it's tough out here. Everybody lost. Mr. Myers down the street, him and his wife lost their job. They got to sell. It's going into foreclosure at the bank. Everybody was broke, so nobody cared. You just got it. You just understood. You're going to have to operate like that today while everybody else is on Instagram fronting and flossing and acting like they really got it. I know that debt is skyrocketing. I know that bankruptcies are skyrocketing. I know that a lot of y'all is going homeless and losing your house. I know you got laid off from your job. Don't you sit here and try to front and stunt for nobody. You make the adjustment. You do the thing that's in your best interest and make sure you take care of business. Don't get caught up in the foolishness. Make the right decision now. Lower your lifestyle. Get rid of the debt. Fuck that car. Don't go and buy it. Don't do the thing that's not in your best interest. If I can sit here, and I love basketball. I love basketball. If I can choose not to renew my season tickets in order to be able to continue to leverage every dollar that I have to buy the things that's going to benefit me long term, I know you can make the decision not to go and get that Kia because them Kia boys don't come out and steal it anyway. Real talk. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Let's make the right decisions. Let's do the thing that's in our own best interest. Let's go about taking care of business. Let's not get caught up in this foolishness, ladies and gentlemen.